New Marvel figures from Mego for the first time in almost 50 years. Let's take a look. Hello and welcome back, and today we're going to take a look at the brand new Spider-Man themed 4-pack of figures from Mego Toys. Since Mego's return, they have explored a number of licenses old and new, such as DC Comics, Universal Monsters, Star Trek, and Planet of the Apes. But fans have asked all along, hey, can you do Marvel characters again? Because those Marvel Megos of the 1970s were some of the most popular figures in the original line. In summer of 2023, Mego president Marty Abrams hinted that they were working on getting the Marvel license back. But we had to wait a little while to get the actual confirmation. That happened in October of 2024. Marty Abrams, along with Paul Clark and Bruce Katz of Mego, did an interview with Brian Heiler of Plaid Stallions on Brian's Brick Mantooth YouTube channel, and I will link to that video in the description of this one. There it was revealed that Mego had reacquired the Marvel license, but there were a couple of caveats. The biggest one being availability. As we know, Hasbro has long held the license to do action figures based on Marvel characters. As Marty explained it, Hasbro has the rights to do any action figures at retail that fall under the $100 price point. That's why other manufacturers like McFarlane can only do the static figures, aka statues, and even Funko Pops based on Marvel characters have to be created as bobbleheads rather than figures. But Mego was able to work out a deal where their figures would be sold exclusively through Disney. Disney stores, Disney theme parks, and the Disney Store online. The other caveat is that they would not be sold individually, but in 4-packs. And we've been told that there will be 5 4-packs available throughout 2025. We don't know for sure what characters will be available yet, and I'll speculate on that at the end of this video. And I know the availability only through Disney is a bit frustrating for a lot of fans, but there's no need to throw shade at Mego because of that. This is what they had to do to get these figures out within the restrictions of the existing Hasbro contract. Now let me tell you about my personal frustration with getting these figures. The first 4-pack of figures released is seen here. Spider-Man with 3 of his arch-enemies, the Green Goblin and the Lizard, who were part of the 1970s Mego line, along with brand new character Electro. These started showing up in Disney theme park stores at the beginning of December, and eventually a listing went up on the Disney Store online, with a hard release date of December 22nd, 2024 at 8 a.m. Pacific Time. At that time, I was on the Disney Store, signed into my account, the listing went live, I was able to grab a set and check out within 2 minutes. So I thought, great, that was an easy process. Until 6 hours later, when I received an email from the Disney Store telling me my order had been canceled because the items were out of stock. Now this was very confusing to me, as after I had put in my order, I had kept checking the Disney Store to see how fast these would sell out, and these were available almost 2 hours after I had placed my order. So I was confused about how, if they were available for that long, and I got my order in within 2 minutes, that they were out of stock for me. I sent an email to the Disney Store, explaining that I was one of the first ones to get them, presumably, and they sent me back the usual form letter of, gee, we're sorry these things happen. We apologize for the inconvenience. After that, I went on social media and posted not really a rant, but I did post my displeasure at the situation on my Instagram account and in the comments section of a YouTube video. And the responses were some people saying, yeah, the same thing happened to me, and others saying, well, my order's just fine. So it was very confusing. After that, I went back to the Disney Store, checked the listing again, and saw that they were once again in stock. So I placed an order, went to checkout, was told they were unavailable at checkout, went back to the listing, refreshed it, added it to my cart again. Did this a few times until I finally got an order through. And this time the order stuck, and here are the figures. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that whatever automated inventory system the Disney Store is using is completely foobarred. The system does not have a good handle on inventory levels, and it seems that it was just canceling orders randomly without regard to what time the order was placed. You would think it would be first come, first served, but apparently that's not the case with whatever system the Disney Store is using. Hopefully that can be fixed by the time the other 4 releases come out this year, but I have a feeling these are going to be a pain in the butt to get no matter what. But enough of that, let's now look at the actual toys. Retail on this set is $89.99, which is around about what they would cost if you order them individually. Maybe a little more expensive. Usually individual Megos sell for around $20 at most sites. But at the time this was released, the Disney Store was offering I believe it was a 30% off promotion. So I was able to get these shipped for a little over $60, which isn't bad. So we have 4 individually boxed figures inside this outer sleeve. Green Goblin, Spider-Man, and the Lizard were all part of the original 1970s Mego toy line, and Electro is appearing in Mego form for the first time. In addition to the 4 figures, there is a commemorative coin right here in the package, and we'll take a closer look at that when I open these up. On the front we have the World's Greatest Superheroes logo, along with the box art for each of the 4 figures. And on the back we have a nice photograph of the 4 figures included, stating they each have 26 points of articulation. And here's the little bio and photo of Marty Abrams that has been on every Mego package since they returned. Here's the coin. It has a embossed picture of Spider-Man there that says, "Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man," on the top, and the Mego logo on the back. Nothing to write home about, but it's a nice little addition. Here are the 4 individually boxed figures, and these boxes of Green Goblin, Spider-Man, and the Lizard use the exact same artwork that they used on those 1970s packages. And with Electro, they picked a piece of artwork that probably would have been used if he had come out in the 70s, and that's an Electro piece by Steve Ditko. The Mego cross-sells were always on the sides of the boxes, so you can see the 3 villains have the same cross-sells that feature Iron Man and the Hulk, and the one on Spider-Man's box has Captain America on that side. Spider-Man has the same cross-sell on both sides of his box, and on the villain boxes you get the additional Captain America. Each of the figures is held in place with 3 plastic ties that I'm going to have to snip, 1 around the neck and 2 around the legs. Spider-Man is probably one of the most famous Mego figures because he was the star of Toy Fair magazine's Twisted Toy Fair Theater. That ran in Toy Fair magazine from 1996 till 2011. And some of the creators of Twisted Toy Fair Theater went on to create the TV show Robot Chicken. So the 26 points of articulation on these figures would be the head, shoulders, elbows, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles. Now, one thing I've noticed about the modern Mego figures I've been getting recently is some of the joints are very, very stiff, especially the elbows. So I would suggest applying heat to the joints if you're going to take these out of the box and pose them and play with them. Because I did have a DC figure not too long ago that I took out of the box and tried to move the elbows without heating them, and the elbow actually snapped. Other than that, Spidey is a pretty good representation of the figure we got in the 70s. I don't know if the costume is exactly how it was. I don't have an original to compare it to. It does look pretty good, and it is well-fitting. I remember the original Spider-Man costume of the figure I had kind of drooped around the neck, and you could see the flesh tone of the body underneath the costume, but this one seems pretty tight-fitting. The Green Goblin was one of my favorites when I was playing with these in the 1970s. My favorite villain, at least, because of that wacky head sculpt of his with that wild goblin mask. He comes with one accessory, which is his bag, and that's it. And I remember as a kid, I would often try to create the different weapons that he had in the comics. I would use little Halloween decorations as his pumpkin bombs, like the little plastic things you'd get on the top of cupcakes. I'd save those and use them for pumpkin bombs. And I remember always making a goblin glider for him out of cardboard. Another one of my childhood favorites, the Lizard, Dr. Kurt Connors. And I remember that white lab coat getting very tattered and a little bit dirty as I played with him. The classic Lizard always had purple pants, because scientists that turn into green creatures apparently all shop at the same Walmart. And just like in the original toy, his lizard tail is stuffed fabric. I don't remember the original tail being quite this long, but it was a long time ago. Maybe it was, but they may have lengthened the tail a little bit for this new release. And if you had any Mego Star Trek figures from the 70s, you may recognize this head. Mego reused this head and colored it brown to create their Star Trek Gorn figure. Of course, this looks nothing like the Gorn from the original TV series. But when Mego came back, one of the first Star Trek figures they did was a screen-accurate Gorn. I also appreciate that not only did they give him his original feet, the Lizard had some uniquely sculpted feet in the original toy, they also gave him his original hands. One was an open hand, and the other was sculpted into a fist. Electro, and I think this figure looks really good. They did a really nice job creating this new Mego character. His yellow and green color scheme is very striking. The lightning bolts on his cuffs are done with foam rubber. And out of the box, the top point on his mask is bent downward, but there is some space here. If you wanted to heat that up and raise that up a little bit, you could. But I really think he's a nice looking figure overall. Really nice design on the costume. Some comparisons with other modern Mego figures. You can team up Superman and Spider-Man, just like they did back in 1976. Frankenstein appreciates the Green Goblin's Halloween theme, as well as Electro's powers. And the Lizard has made a new friend, the Gorn from Star Trek. So what other Marvel figures might we expect from Mego? Well, looking back at the original 1970s line, there are 9 more Marvel characters that they can do reproductions or reissues of. And for those of you that say, you forgot Conan, well, no. Conan is not a Marvel character. Conan was always licensed by Marvel. So if Mego wanted to do a new Conan, that would be a separate deal. Years back, Figures Toy Company did do a Mego-style reproduction of Conan, along with King Kull and Solomon Kane, all of those characters owned by the estate of Robert E. Howard. So it is conceivable that Mego could get that license and do those characters, but it wouldn't be under the Marvel brand. So for Marvel, they could potentially do the Fantastic Four, which is pretty much a no-brainer if they're doing 4-packs, especially with the new movie coming out this summer. And the other 5 choices would be the Avengers characters: Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, the Falcon, and the Hulk. So what new characters could be added to supplement this line? Well, obviously they need more villains, because the Green Goblin and the Lizard were the only 2 Marvel villains done in the original line. So characters like Doctor Doom, the Red Skull, Loki, and the Leader would be welcome additions. Also, one major group that was just picking up steam when the original Mego figures were created is the X-Men. Of course, the X-Men peaked in popularity after the Mego line had already left shelves, so it would be nice if they did some of those new X-Men characters from the 1970s. Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm, Cyclops. Any one of those characters would look great in Mego form. Beyond that, I'd pick characters like Daredevil, who has been a Marvel staple since the beginning, Spider-Woman, who actually had her own cartoon show in 1979, would have fit right in with that original Mego line, and maybe fill out the Avengers roster a little more with characters like Hawkeye, Black Widow, Ant-Man, or the Wasp. I'll be excited to see how this all turns out and what new characters Mego decides to add to this line. And hopefully the next 4-packs will be a little easier to get than the Spider-Man one was. That's it for my look at this new Marvel Mego 4-pack. What do you guys think? I know Mego is a bit of a niche toy line as far as collectors are concerned. Very retro, very throwback. Do any of you have any interest in this line? Or have any of you actually gotten this Spider-Man 4-pack? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, thank you for your time and attention, and I will see you in the next video.